Hi, everyone. It's Melissa Reaves with Story Fruition, and welcome to our vlogcast. I'm super excited about today because I have a fabulous client that I'd like to introduce everyone to. Many of you probably already know her because she's a very esteemed marketer out in the world. This is Monique De Mayo. Monique is with On Demand CMO, and we have been working together for a few months. And I want to say first, welcome. So great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's great to be here.
Yes. So we started working together to kind of fine tune like how to do this public speaking, infusing storytelling. And I must say, you were one of the most coachable clients that I have. I mean, you have really embraced some of the things that make some people awkward feeling, like I'm like, embrace your inner actor. You did. What was that like for you? Because you really ran with it.
Therapeutic. I mean, once you own it and once you're comfortable with your story or your stories, and then, why not go out with it? Like, why hold back? The whole point of storytelling is for other people to get a message from you. That's what I do for a living. So whatever it is that I have to do for you to get my message in a more meaningful, impactful, and in a way that you're going to do something with it, that serves everybody.
Really true. And when we first started working, so why don't we talk a little bit about what you do every day? What do you do every day?
So the agency I founded 23 years ago helps predominantly business to business, technology, financial services, technology services, things that are highly complicated and expensive to purchase. B2B clients find their voice, find their brand, establish their brand, and then create their persona. And that could be in the form of ongoing website, collateral, events, social content, thought leadership content, all of the things that are publicly facing are created by my team.
Great. So you are essentially learning to tell their story.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of funny that I had to learn from you to tell my story, but for a living, I tell other people's stories.
Yes. And then I remember I said, welcome. And you said, I tell people's stories, but to tell my own, what?
Exactly. So I call it eating your own dog food. So when you eat your own dog food, you take the lessons that it's very easy to we call it being on the court versus being a spectator. It's very easy to be a spectator and talk trash to the athletes that are out there killing themselves, right? Because you're sitting there comfortably with a beer on your sofa. But it's a lot different to be on the court, on the field, on the what pitch, whatever you call it. Being in that moment, doing that thing is a lot harder than looking at it.
That's right. That's right. And it takes a lot of bravery to actually say, okay, I've been preaching this. I've been doing the talk. Now I'm going to walk it. I'm going to walk my talk. And that's the difference, I think, in really wonderful leaders, right? Is that they're not just out there telling you what to do, that they actually do it themselves. So bravo to you. Yes. So you recently did a talk for the Women in Technology. And the name of the talk was Living by Design, Not by Default. Is that right? Is that how it was called?
Creating a life by design. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful talk. I mean, you really owned the room. I was super proud of you, but tell us what it was like going through that process of finding this. Like, was this a talk design that you had done before? What did it feel like as the speaker, and then feedback after?
So I will tell you, I was so glad to have you as my Burgess Meredith, as it were, to my Rocky. It was great to have that. The hardest thing no, I had never done the talk before. And no, I had never done a TEDx-like talk. They called it a WIDX, meaning that it had the short form length. So I was allowed all of 14 minutes to get my message, my story, and my conclusion and everything in Q&A together. And that made it so much more difficult because, in the old adage, it's much easier to tell a long story than it is to tell a short story. Baby shoes, never been used. That's the quintessential shortest story in the world, but it tells in a lot, right? You could go on for 5 hours, 50 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, but 14 is tight. So I had to be real intentional, which made the talk that much more difficult. I loved doing it. The process made me hone in on my core messages, and it gave me fodder, I think, for the book that I want to write. And then the empowerment, the women and girls empowerment journey that I want to continue to evolve for myself.
Great. Yeah. Well, you are packed with stories. It's not an issue of having stories. You have them.
You have to pull them from me.
Yeah, you will pull them out, but I think the point is that, like, I actually celebrate time constraints, because the fact that they do force the speaker to choose their words and their images very, as you said, intently. Like, you have to know what you're going to say. People who go on really long, they tend to be like what I would call needing a weed whacker. They're just they're meandering over here. They're going on. They say the same thing 4 different ways. And in our work, it's like, okay, you said that same thing 4 different ways. Pick the best way and say it once, but pick your best way. And that's just a part of the process, right? Like, we had to really dig in and like play inside each one of your stories to really find like what is going to be the DNA reduction sauce of what the story is going to be about. Take away all the weeds, take away even characters that may have literally been in the room with you. If they don't serve the point of this story, cut them out. Cut them out.
Creative genius.
Well, but the reason being is that when you keep them in there, if you have some, like, as the listener, if you have some characters that you've introduced to me, they're in my head now, because we talk about stories being a mind movie. They're in my head, and then you don't bring them up again.
Yeah.
They're still in my head.
Right. Useless. It's sort of like what we, clients, like, don't bring something up that's not going to intentionally support your brand. If it doesn't support your brand, just don't say it. Just don't say it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or if everybody else is saying the same thing, don't say it.
Right. So your speech was 14 minutes. And what we did was we chose one big story. Tell them what you did.
So it's 1997 and I'm 33 years old, and I have a job that I just love. I am the publisher of a marketing magazine called Brand Week. I've got, 14 salespeople working for me all the way around the country. I have a New York City based office with 8 people in it. Things are going great. Our market share is up 45% and sales are up 54% in my category. So I think I'm doing pretty well. This particular day, I decide I'm going to ask my boss to work from home 1 day a week. So I'm getting myself psyched. I'm like, okay, Monique, things are going well. You got this. Why would he say no? It's going to be great. Come on. He knows you're a hard worker. Let's go. So I knock on the door. Hello. Hi, Mark. Can I see you for a sec? Yeah, come in. And the place is sterile, sort of like it's inhabited, And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can smell the cigar smoke and the martini from lunch. And my guess is there's been more than one martini today. And I walk in, I go, excuse me, can I see for a second? I wanted to ask you, I want to work from home 1 day a week so I can catch up on paperwork, no interruptions from the office, just from home. It doesn't matter which day, you pick it, not a problem. At his desk, doesn't look up and says, yeah, I don't think so. I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I thought you said I don't think so. What? Come again? He's like, yeah, I don't think so. But I start to protest. But why not? Because I need you here to get stuff done. That's why. Listen, I'm busy here. If we're done, close the door behind you. And I'm thinking to myself, what is that about? Are you kidding me? This guy has the nerve to tell me that I can't work from home 1 day a week, which he, by the way, can pick. And meanwhile, he takes clients to Scotland for an entire week, and dumbass here gets to be the manager on duty, managing all the branch offices. And then did I mention that every Friday when it's nice, in the spring, in the summer, and in the fall, this guy and the boys take clients to play golf in Westchester at the CEO's Golf Club, while I get to be the idiot again. So you tell me why I can't get 1 day a week from the office. You tell me that. I am fuming. And that's my story.
That was just scene one of your story. It continued, but let's just stop a second. Thank you so much. First off, I just love watching him. Let's talk about what you did, right? So what I love is at the beginning, you set up your life, right? You're like, you were kind of like, sales were going good. Life was great. You were following what we teach, the story, the hero's arc, right? So we knew what your life was like. You were letting us in on your inner thoughts. Like, I could do this. You even lowered your voice a little bit. I can do this. This is cool. I got this. Now, meanwhile, the picture, your slides were also very, very simple. So we had a picture when you're, it was a picture of a door opening, and you had kind of a weird image of probably a male, but it looked like he had a pinhead, and you're walking in. So you did a very simple image while you're animating your experience, your personal experience, as well as I'm the idiot, I'm a fool, and so you were allowing yourself to be real and vulnerable. And then when you walk in, and the office is sterile as much as the inhabitant inside it, which was really a great way of saying it. The image that we had was cigars and a drink. Very simple. So when you were talking about, there was more than one martini, you were engaging the listeners with smell, right? So we knew there was no doubt the atmosphere of the room that you had just walked into and what you were dealing with. And those are some of the key points of what makes a storyteller really vibrant, is that you were using sounds, you were allowing us inside your head. And then the dialogue was extremely rich. There was no doubt when you were talking and when he was talking. And I found you very entertaining. What kind of response did you get from your speakers?
The response I got from obviously him was not good. The response I got from Whit was incredibly positive. It was a lot of outreach, a lot of chat. My staff was so funny. They were screen grabbing the chat, the chat stream, which was very complimentary. And subsequent, actually, one of the leaders at Jabra North America, Kelly, was on that WIT network, and she asked me to speak to the women at Jabra as a result of that presentation. And she wants me to do part 2 of said speech. So I guess it went well.
Yes.
I got a gig without,
with the mic still on, you're getting a gig. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I was watching comments too, and they were blowing up. They're like, you're such an amazing storyteller. And I was really proud of you because, it's up to you as the speaker. When that mic goes on, it's your time. Own it, take it, shine, play with it.
You taught me well. I think the way you helped me organize the story itself was, that's what you do. So kudos to you. I think I was able to chat after. Thank you, Melissa. Couldn't do it without you.
Oh, well, I'm proud of you because, again, as a leader, it's great when leaders bring in third parties, right? Because, again, when you're telling your own story, it is kind of hard. It's kind of hard. You're like, wait, what part of my life am I supposed to bring in? What? And then most people want to bring 80 pieces of their life in, and you really only need maybe 6.
Right.
Maybe 6 scenes in your life that maybe they're connected, maybe they're not. But then in scene 2 or act 2, if you will, of your talk, you continued. So you got shot down by your boss and you were furious. And then you did what? Would you indulge us with the phone call that you did with your husband?
So it's about 6 months later now, and it's getting even more clear to me that my boss and I are not getting along. And he's just looking for an excuse to sideline me, despite the extraordinary performance. And every day it has, it's just the same old grind. And every day it sort of ends like this. I call my husband in his Midtown office. Hey, honey, it's me. Yeah. Hi, I'll make it quick. Listen, how are you doing? Were you able to move that 5:30 meeting you had? Yeah. Cause I have a report due tonight. Yeah. Oh crap. Really? Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Okay. I'll pack up my computer right now. I'll run for the 5:45. I think I can still make it. Okay. All right. I'll see you at home. Bye. Gotta go. All right. I gotta relieve the sitter. Okay. I'll see you later. Love you. Bye. And that's how it goes. And every night I'd run out the door. This particular night, though, I say, good night, everybody. It's 5:30. Mm. Good night, I hear from the corner office, from His Highness. 5:30? It's what, half day, Monique? And you know what I mean by half day, don't ya? Oh, Christ, another mansplaining episode. I can't take it anymore. Oh, my God, not another one. Are you kidding me? 5:30, half day? What, you can't check the numbers and see that everybody's doing a good job? What is your problem? Run for the train, barely make it, and I am still fuming. My blood pressure is, I don't even know how high my blood pressure is, but it's high. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I working for an idiot? Why am I working for a job that I love, but for someone that doesn't appreciate it? I'm spending 12 days out of my house to only have my sitter be with my daughter, and I get 2 hours, and I'm exhausted. Something's got to give. And that's what I did.
See, I mean, it's just like, and here's the thing, we have to know our audience, right? So you're speaking to hundreds of women in tech. I was in tech, and oftentimes I was the only woman in the room. Right. So the mansplaining line, remember when we were talking, we were like, we got to get mansplaining in there. And you're like, I got it. And like where you inserted, those were choices that were made. Right. But the audience that you were playing to, now, if this was a room filled with a whole bunch of men and women, we might not play him quite
as an idiot.
But we knew our audience, and it was playful, and we got well received. So that was really great. And also what's great about it is that you are showing what many of us or any people in your audience relate to, but they don't talk about it. And so with a talk like this, why it's important is it's like you're serving the audience by making them realize you're not alone.
Yes, that's critical. I mean, not to gloss over that, but my whole purpose, my whole focus in making myself vulnerable and being authentically myself and sharing really sometimes very uncomfortable stories is because it's not about me. I want to, if I can help one woman, 2 women, 10 women, whatever I can do to make sure that they don't suffer in the same way that I may have, then I've done something and my life has meaning and purpose. But like keeping that stuff to ourselves doesn't enable the sister behind us, in front of us, around us. So it's not good. You've got to put yourself at risk a little bit and get uncomfortable so that your discomfort can help somebody else. Now, I feel very passionately about that.
I'm with you, and I celebrate you. And I think this has something to do with our stage in life too. Like,
yeah, maybe. Yeah, for sure.
It's like we've been there. And as you said, sisters, we're sharing this with you to help you so that you can navigate. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Mansplained.
It's going to happen. Absolutely.
It's
happening now. Yeah. I mean, so I'm trying to mentor young women who could be my daughters, right?
Yes.
And I see some of these young women in some of these tech companies, and they're facing the same crap we did. And so I'm thinking to myself, it's 30, 35 years later, but why hasn't more changed? Why hasn't more changed? So I think part of it, and I think that this is true, women in my generation, our generation, were too quiet.
Yeah. Well, we're getting louder. We're getting louder and more women. I mean, I do think things are getting better because there are more women that are CEOs than there were, right? And we are fighting for equal pay, and we are in tech. Let's get more. So let's support more women in tech, because there's no reason that our little girl brains can't be as smart as the boy brains. I mean, it's bullshit. And so your story shows us that. So the story then, we're moved to the last part, but the story then encourages, for some women, it may be to let go of the golden handcuffs.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
And so you're in the park, and what happens?
I decide that I need some time to reflect on what's going on. And I talked to my friend Mary Beth. And Mary Beth says, listen, I don't know why you're getting so bent. If you spend half the time, energy, effort doing whatever you decide to do that you do for this place, you're going to be fine. And wait a second. I had a couple people approach me about having a conversation about sales and marketing consulting, and I had nobody to point them to. You want me to just have them call you? Have a conversation with them. You don't know where that could lead. And I said, you do that? That'd be great. And she said, of course. These guys are idiots. They don't appreciate you. Go do it. So I had to think about that. And I said, I'm going to go to Central Park today. I'm going to go walk around, give it some thought, process everything that's been going on. As I walk into Central Park, I see this woman, the baby stroller. She's got a baby and she's throwing it up and giggling with it and having fun and being playful. And I looked at that mother and I said, wow, how about that? That's my baby. Except the person holding her is my babysitter, not me. And that was the problem. I wanted it to be me. I wanted to have that choice. I wanted to be able to say, you know what, today I'm going to go out to lunch and I'm going to go out to lunch with my daughter. That's what I did.
Yeah. So there was your aha. You had that realization. And so that's just so great because I'm an entrepreneur now too, right? It's like when it calls for some people, it's important. So sharing that story, and then you had your sage, you had your friend who's just kind of says the golden thing that you needed to hear. And you realized, because that's where most stories sit. They sit in an aha moment when all of a sudden you went, wait, I don't have to be on this track? Really? And then when you had that aha, you changed right then and there. And then you go to the park and it now puts it into a new momentum. And so then we ended the talk with you giving tips and advice. So the story set it up so that we first off related to you, we liked you, we felt and related to you, but then you left people with nuggets of like life hacks. And that's when you got into your by design, not by default.
Yeah. I left them with 3 takeaways. Yeah. I thank you. I wanted it to have a practical functionality because I think storytelling is very powerful, but unless you connect the dots for some people, they kind of wonder why you shared the story to begin with. Exactly. And so the 3 things that I left, and I said, look, in order to create a life by design and not default, you have to remember 3 things. One is what is not being said. So what is not being said is what controls your relationships, your life, your success. If you leave something unsaid, or you haven't expressed your worth or your feelings, or you're not in a nasty way, but if it's not being said and it's being repressed on some level or another, it is running your life and not the way you want it to be. Somebody else has been directing your life. So if you want to produce and direct your life, you got to get the unsaid said. That's number 1. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is, are you allowing your job to control you? Are you in control of it, or is it controlling you? So that's the question you ask yourself. If your job is controlling you, your time, your energy, your thoughts, anything, and it doesn't have boundaries, that's a problem, because your job should be within a boundary. It's part of your 24 hours. It is not your 24 hours. And if it becomes your 24 hours, you got a problem. So the notion of controlling your job. And the third is, where are you truly, and how and where are you truly spending your time? If you don't look at prescriptively how long you spend on social media, I mean, I don't know. I have to check into social media because this part of it is what I do, but I hate it. So like, I find myself, if I'm on, you could scroll for 2 hours. All of a sudden I hear people who have plenty of time tell me they don't have time to work out. I hear people tell me they don't have time to cook. I hear people tell me they don't have time to do a lot of things. Well, what are you spending your time on? So I espouse the idea of time blocking. I time block for exercise, for projects, actual work that needs to go into it, meetings, because if you fill your calendar with all meetings, you have no time to do the actual work. If you fill your calendars with meetings and work, you have no time for play. So I color code these things, and every week I kind of look at the week and I see if there's enough color on each category. If I'm seeing that there's not enough category time for me, I got to rethink this stuff, right? I either have to delegate it, move it to another week, do something so that there's more balance. When I have balance, I show up as a nicer person, frankly. So I'm going to be at my best self if I've created that balance. I'm in control of my calendar. Nobody else is. So if you don't want somebody to grab you on Calendly, don't make yourself available during that time, because you have to do the work that you have to do for you, your family, your job. Those things have to balance. So that's what I left them with.
Yeah. And it was great. I mean, I got to tell you, I was color coding a little bit, but after your talk, I color code better. I put blocks of time for me, and I've been sticking to it. Sometimes you can't. I mean, I've heard, like you could even do 15 minutes of just deep breathing and just like put it around your lunch hour, just so that you can refocus and get yourself just aligned again.
Yeah. It's
wonderful. Sometimes you might not make it, but at least you've made that effort on your calendar.
Totally.
Your talk was fabulous. It was great and it was helpful. You left people with the get to have to. You want to?
Oh yeah. So yeah. So I think probably the next talk will be on the power of choice. I'm very big on the power of choice because it flows into what we're talking about here, and it's funny. I don't remember how I picked this up, but it's part of my vernacular now. And it's the distinction. Life is about distinctions and distinguishing between what people said and what they made it mean and things like that. But the distinction I talked about at this particular speech, and I will again, is the idea of I get to or I have to. And I get to make dinner or I get to do laundry is so far different from I have to make dinner and I have to do laundry. The underlying relevancy and story in those two words is so powerful, but people have to think about that. Like, you get to make dinner, honey.
They have power. Words have power. And that was the genius, I think, in all of the talk, because you really summed it up at the end. So thank you.
Thank you.
I know we worked on it, but really you were driving that thing. I was just Burgess Meredith in the corner. But it was really great. And this is where I could say, this is when, because people are like, I'm supposed to be a better storyteller in business. I don't really get it. Well, that's an example of what it means. It's like getting in there, stepping in, getting out of your own comfort zone and bringing your ideas to life through your own personal experiences that people can relate to. And you did that really well. And I'm super excited for you as a public speaker and an author. I really am.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your guidance and your coaching. And yeah, it's feeling good. I want to keep doing it because I think there's power in sharing.
The universe wants you to. So how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to find you if they want to talk to you about on demand or public speaking?
Yeah. So Monique, it's really simple. Yeah, that's right. Book her. It's really pretty easy for me. It's Monique at ondemandcmo.com. You'll find me Monique De Mayo on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Monique De Mayo. The world doesn't need more than one, but I am. So I'm easy to find.
I'd like to clone you, so I don't know if I can agree with that statement, but that's well, anyways, Monique, pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing this talk, which is in you now. I mean, we didn't talk too much. I was like, you ready? And you're like, yep. And boom, you have it. So that's the other thing is that we talk about building that story library. Your story library, I mean, any one of those little stories that you told today could be used individually, or they could be used in a more threaded presentation. And who knows? I mean, the next talk could be, by design, not default, to the choice. So you may end up continuing to grow the power of how long you can speak as well, too, through your story.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Everyone. Thank you. Have a great day. We hope to see you again. And again, Monique, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.